Big story this week, Stanford superstar Rose Zhang making her pro debut after a short but bountiful college career. Back in 2022 as a freshman, she captured the NCAA Women's Golf Individual Championship by 3 shots, finished with a final round 75, joining her teammate Rachel Heck as the second consecutive Cardinal to win the individual title. And back in April at the Augusta National Women's Amateur, Rose Zhang entered the final round with a 5-shot lead, but fired a final round 76. Found herself in a playoff with Georgia's Jenny Bay, but Rose would ultimately prevail on the second playoff hole.
And it was a little more than a week ago when the Stanford sophomore made history with her victory in the NCAA Women's Golf Individual Championship. Zhang finished with a final round of 4 under 68 to become the first woman to go back-to-back in the NCAAs. The win was also the 12th of her Stanford career, the most in school history. And following the NCAA Championship, Zhang announced that she would forgo her final 2 years at Stanford and turn professional. She is making her pro debut this week at the Mizuho Americas Open, Liberty National, with a total of 8 LPGA events on her schedule. Today, she met with the media and was asked, why now?
Why the Mizuho Americas Open? What called you to make your debut at this event?
There were so many reasons. First of all, from the timing, after NCAA's last week, I was able to just figure things out a little bit in terms of my schedule and what I wanted to do going forward after my sophomore year at Stanford. And the Mizuho was a perfect place for me to kind of start out my professional debut.
Have to ask, was Michelle Wee West one of those factors? She was in here talking, said some very nice things about you. What's your relationship like with her? And did that have any influence on your decision to play this week?
100%. Michelle, her being a Stanford alum, she's kind of talked to me before. She's been a great mentor for me and a good role model about what to do, what she did in her professional career, as well as being at Stanford. She was actually one of the main influences for me to turn professional while going to school at Stanford. So in the following years, I'll still be at school finishing my degree. And she played a huge part in helping me with that decision just because she's done it before and she said, you can definitely do it.
You've conquered some really tough golf courses, obviously playing super well at Augusta National and winning that event and then playing so well at Greyhawk the last 2 years. Does any of those experiences at those big name golf courses really prepare you for a week like this?
Certainly. Those are one of the biggest stages that you're going to be playing at on a collegiate level and an amateur level. So there was a lot of media at Augusta. There were a lot of media at NCAAs. And that kind of prepped me for what I need to work on, what I need to do or balance things out when I'm playing golf, as well as doing media. So being here at a professional level now, there's certainly a lot of factors that are very similar to what I experienced those 2 weeks. And it allows me to balance my schedule a little more, balance my mind a little more before I go out and play. But those events were incredible, such unique experiences that I'll never get to probably experience again because they're just such special events that I could just learn and grow with people that I love.
How did you know it was time to turn professional? What factors went into that?
Yeah, that's a very difficult question because I was trying to figure out that timeline as well. Beginning my college career, I told Coach Walker that I do want to pursue professional golf in the future, but I didn't know whether or not it would be after 4 years during my college career and whatnot. So when I started, but one thing's for sure, I wanted to finish my degree. And the second factor was I wanted to see how well I played in college golf, because I believe that if you're not able to conquer one stage, then, you won't be able to go on to the next one and say that it's time for the next step. So I wanted to see how I fared in college golf and turned out well. So that's why I tried pursuing it. I thought, okay, now I can see where the trend is going. I see that I have potential going to the next stage. Therefore, I think it's time to make a plan. And first year of college, didn't think about it at all. I was like, okay, just finish college, finish the first year, figure out what you are as a person. And then going into sophomore year, there was a little bit more talk, but I honestly just felt like I'll take the first fall quarter steady and see what that decision may imply, see what kind of routes that I can take if I do decide to turn. And then I've had great support people around me who have played huge factors. My family, my agents, my coaches, all of them have put their input in me, and I've taken their considerations and their logic of things very seriously. And from there, I ultimately wanted to make a decision that would work out well for me. So I think just following throughout sophomore year, battling the decision here and there, but made out to be a very good one. I felt like it was time for the next stage. Regardless of what happens on the professional level, I'll still be at school and finishing out. So I think the logistics part of being able to go to school while being a professional also played a huge role in me deciding to turn pro.
A lot of comparisons between Rose Zhang and Tiger Woods at Stanford. Both accomplished quite a bit in 2 years on the farm, as Stanford is called. Rose just ahead of the Big Cat in terms of wins, NCAA titles, team titles, Player of the Year awards, and scoring average as well. And as you see, both left Stanford after a couple of seasons. Beth Ann Nichols joins us now from Liberty National. Beth Ann, you were in the room. So Tiger had his, hello world moment. Michelle, we got a birthday cake. She turned 16 for her pro debut. What was the vibe like with Rose Zhang today?
A breath of fresh air. I mean, I'm sure you both can agree that it was just so delightful to listen to Rose. She's just so poised, so confident. I can't imagine her being any more prepared for this moment than she appears to be. And yet, something that I thought was so interesting that her coach said to me earlier was that she thinks that her superpower out here is going to be her humility, which I couldn't agree more. I talked to Rose a little bit after that press conference one-on-one, and I said, do you think that you can win out here right now? Is your game ready? And she said, technically, she thinks so, technically wise. But in terms of the adjustment period, she's like, I'm being realistic. I realize that this is not college golf. This is another level. It's going to take some time for me to get there and figure out what it takes to win. But she has no doubt that she can get there.
Well, judging by the logo she was wearing, Beth Ann, a lot of blue chip brands out there think she's a pretty good investment on the LPGA Tour. Do you think that increases the weight of expectation on her? And is she well equipped to deal with that?
Better than most. I would say probably better than almost any 20-year-old you could meet. In terms of the amount of money that she's going to make off the golf course, I don't have any hard and fast numbers for you, but I think it's probably going to be, not quite as big as Michelle Wie West back in 2005, but maybe the biggest since for an American player. And I think that Rose takes these things in stride. She is a person who, isn't really about money or fame. It's for her, it's about who she is as a person. And she'll tell you that, she's successful because of what's inside, because of what she calls the fundamental core of who she is. And that enables her to still be grounded and realize that after a bad day, a bad week, that, there's more to life. And to hear her say that before she's even hit a shot as a professional says a lot, because it takes a lot of players a lot of years to figure that out, to not equate who they are as a person with their golf score. And Rose Zhang does not do that.
Yeah, important that she has that solid core, because there's a lot going on outside the ropes. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the golf Twitterati can be beautiful and nice 1 minute and mean the next. What is the biggest challenge facing Rose Zhang in this next step?
I think just making decisions for herself. There are going to be a lot of people who are going to have their own opinions, not just on Twitter, but, within her team and in her inner circle, and she's going to have to take ownership of that. And she said, I asked her as well, what's the most important thing that Ann Walker has taught you at Stanford? And she said to be resilient. I came into Stanford and I wasn't the one basically calling the shots all the time. And I was doing something that, perhaps might not have been what I would have preferred to do in some circumstances with her game and her career. And she wants to take ownership of that at the next level. And that's something that Ann Walker has really given her, the strength to do.
What's a reasonable expectation for her in the remainder of this year, Beth Ann? I mean, you've covered these proteges who've come out on tour before with great weight of expectations on top of them. She's playing 8 or 9 events through the course of 2023. What is reasonable to expect from her?
I think it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility that she could win. I think we all think she has the game to win right now. And if everything falls into place one week, she could do that. Now, do we expect her to win in the next 8 starts with 4 of them being majors? No. If she doesn't win, does that mean it's a failure? No, not by any stretch. I think this is a big learning curve. And that's the beauty of having a lot of tournaments in a short amount of time, is that she can keep rolling with it, so she can get some momentum. She can apply what she's learning to the next week. And I think honestly, where the real pressure will be next year when we're assuming will be a full card carrying LPGA member one way or another. That's where I think we'll really see the pressure for Rose Zhang. I think there's a little bit of a grace period that she's given herself, and I think we all should give her as well. As she learns a new caddy, learns all the nuances that are involved with this game and travel. And by the way, she still hasn't moved out of her dorm room yet because she has 3 finals left to take. She gets back to Palo Alto. So it's not like the sole focus right now is professional golf even yet.
Beth Ann, there was an era in golf where a big debut like this, there'd be some old school pros ready to kind of put the screws to her a little bit. I'm thinking of Beth Daniel, maybe a Dottie Pepper. How will the rest of the LPGA Tour react to this young phenom who's coming out there to kind of, make her name known and maybe take a little bit of the money away from some of the top stars?
I actually think she'll be embraced well, because this isn't a player who pushed her way onto the LPGA. She did it step by step. As she said, she wanted to conquer each level. And there's a humility about Rose, much like a Lorena Ochoa. There's just a vibe that she has that is so easygoing that I don't see how you could really be mad at Rose Zhang or want to have it out for her. So I'm not expecting that at all. I mean, maybe some jealousy, because, that's part of life, right? If she goes out here and really lights it up right out of the gates. But I don't think there's going to be any purposeful hijacks going on.
Given how well she's been playing recently before she even gets into the PED ranks, Beth Ann, what are the chances that Stacey Lewis might look at Rose Zhang as a wild card for the Solheim Cup?
I asked Stacey this in LA at Wilshire not very long ago, and Stacey said, I'm pretty sure you have to be a member in order to be picked. And so to be a member before the Solheim Cup, Rose Zhang has to win on this tour. So again, not out of the realm of possibility, but if Rose Zhang were to win an event, I do not see how in the world Stacey Lewis could keep her off of that team.
Dot seems to be able to handle anything that's coming her way. Thanks so much, Beth Ann. Enjoy the rest of the day at Liberty.
Thank you.